Hey folks, how's it going? I want to talk about the border for a minute. Obviously, this is a point of contention between the Republicans and the Democrats. It's going to be a major issue with the upcoming election, but it's also a major talking point among preppers right now. But I want to talk about a couple of things that have happened just in the past, just this month, actually. On March 9th, there was an internal U.S. Border Patrol memo that was obtained that described the apprehension of a Lebanese national named Bassel Ebadi. I assume I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not, but Bassel Ebadi at the El Paso Border Patrol sector. Again, he was apprehended on March 9th. The memo says Ebadi was interviewed by a tactical terrorist response team after he made threats to border personnel. According to the article, Ebadi was checked by medical staff and was asked what he was doing here in the U.S. According to the memo, Ebadi replied, "I'm going to New York. I'm going to try to make a bomb." The individual is in U.S. custody right now, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. And while the agency offers no official details, it released the following statement. If an individual poses a potential threat to national security or public safety, we deny admission, detain, remove, or refer them to other federal agencies to further vetting, investigation, and or prosecution as appropriate. Goes on to say in the article, the number of known or suspected terrorists attempting to cross into the U.S. from the southern border has increased over the last 5 years, according to FBI Director Christopher Wray. We have seen over the last, 5 years, an increase in the number of KSTs, or known or suspected terrorists, attempting to cross the southern border. Wray testified Tuesday in front of the House Intelligence Committee. But that doesn't mean they're all terrorists, okay? Yeah, this particular article is going to try to brandish them as being victims. That's the spin that this particular article is going to put on that. So I'm not going to read any more about that. Obviously, if you come across the border illegally, you're a criminal. You have no respect for this country or its laws. So, that's my view on that subject. I have no problem with immigration. I have no problem with migrants or people from other countries coming here. Just do it the right way. That's my only contention, because if I have to stand here and follow all the laws of this country, anybody coming in across the border should have to do the same. All right, so that happened on March 9th. On March 7th, I believe it was, let me look at my notes here. I've got a lot of them. Yeah, on March 7th, MS-13 leader, one of FBI's most wanted fugitives, was arrested at the California-Mexico border. Freddie Ivan Andres Parada, 48, known as Lucky de Park View, that's a hell of a name, was taken into custody on March 7th by federal authorities at the San Ysidro Port of Entry in San Diego County. Sources told the New York Times, or the LA Times, I'm sorry. Federal officials did not disclose any details about the arrest. Parada's apprehension, first reported by Court Watch, comes more than 3 years after his indictment in December 2020 on terrorism offenses related to the direction of MS-13's criminal activities in the U.S., El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico for nearly 2 decades. According to the federal court documents, he is a member of MS-13's Leadership Council, initially known as the 12 Apostles of the Devil, and later renamed Renfla Nacional. Sorry, I know I'm probably butchering that, which controls thousands of MS-13 members worldwide. He and 13 other MS-13 leaders were indicted in the Eastern District of New York for their roles in dozens of killings, various other acts of violence, intimidation, and material support of terrorists in El Salvador and throughout the United States. Okay, so you've got that. 2 known terrorists, or 2 confirmed terrorists, apprehended within days of each other at the border. 2 different locations. That's not even getting into the subject of known gotaways. or gotaways rather, people that cross the border illegally and then get away without being apprehended. Now, according to the numbers, hundreds of people that are either suspected terrorists or on no-fly lists or watch lists have been apprehended crossing the border. How many have gotten across the border without being apprehended? To me, that's a major concern. Particularly when you have people coming across the border claiming they're coming here to try to make bombs. Obviously, not all of the people coming across the border are going to be terrorists. Some of them are going to be legitimate refugees, and I sympathize with those people. But because of the nature of some of the people coming across and the countries that they're coming from, countries that are known to harbor terrorists and support a very anti-American view, obviously there's the potential for terrorists and sleeper cells to come across the border. It poses a serious threat to this country. All right, so why is this happening? There's a lot of debate. A lot of people have a lot of theories. One of which is the Great Replacement theory, and me personally, I tend to fall in line with that's a very good portion of what's happening. I believe that that's one of the primary reasons this is going on. And the Great Replacement theory basically says that we're bringing all these people into the country. They're being imported literally by the Biden administration. I mean, there's no denying that. But they're being brought in to change the demographics, to change the political structure of this country. Now, obviously, right now, illegals can't legally vote in our federal elections. There are some local city and county elections that they can vote in, from what I've been doing research on. I don't know how widespread that is. I do know there are a couple of counties that are pushing to allow illegals the right to vote. San Francisco has appointed its first non-citizen to serve on its elections commission. And I'm not sure, I don't believe she even speaks English, or if she does speak English, it's not very well. And her goal is to improve education and access to voting for people, the non-English speaking people in this country. So San Francisco has already appointed a non-citizen to serve on their elections committee. They may not be the only one, but they're the only one I know of at the moment. Meanwhile, Michigan is offering homeowners $500 per month to house newcomers. Other states are pushing people to take in all of these illegal immigrants, saying it's your responsibility. Well, you know, I hate to tell you, I didn't ask them to come here. I didn't bring them here. It's not my responsibility to take care of them. That's my point of view. But for the people that are taking these individuals in for $500 a month, I don't know how it works from state to state. I know how it works in my state. Once somebody moves into your house, whether they're a relative or not, if you're just letting them stay at your house until they get back on their feet, they become a resident of that house. And you cannot simply kick them out if they get out of hand, if they get violent, if they get destructive, or if they start doing criminal activity out of your home. You can't just throw them out. Here in my state, you have to go through the court to evict them, and that can sometimes take several months and can cost a lot of money. And in the meantime, you've got potentially somebody living in your home that could be causing damage, could be causing could be committing crimes, could be posing a serious threat to the safety of your family. So anybody that would take in these immigrants for $500 a month, or even just take them in because they feel responsible, in my opinion, you're out of your mind, because you don't know the risk that you're setting yourself up for. You don't know the risk that you're exposing your family and your home to. Again, I have no problem with immigrants. I have no problem with refugees, so to speak. But you have to understand that the risks that all of this poses. And there's so much of this going on. For example, there was a surge at the border here in the past week or so. 300 illegals were at one particular crossing. 100 of them stormed the border, ripped down the razor wire, and assaulted both the National Guard and the Border Patrol officers. Now, some of those, I think there were at least a couple of them were arrested. They're going to be deported, but according to the article I read on that, even being deported for assaulting the officers and crossing the border illegally to do so, that's still not going to prevent them from seeking asylum. They can still claim asylum even though they're being deported for assaulting officers, which is just absolutely asinine in my opinion. That act alone should prevent them from being able to come into this country. But they were able to repel, National Guard and the Border Patrol were able to repel the rest of them. And I think the Border Patrol and the National Guard both are stepping up patrols in that area as a result of that. You're going to see this as a continuing, not only a point of contention between the Republicans and Democrats, it's going to be a political leverage to be used to try to win the election. But you're going to see violence start to result from this more and more and more as we go along, particularly as we get to the election. And presuming that Trump is still on the ballot during the at the time of the election, and by some miracle, if he gets elected, you will really see violence step up then. The violence and the protests, you remember the mostly peaceful but fiery protests of 2020? That will be nothing compared to what you will see if Trump gets reelected. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's what's going to happen. There is going to be major violence in the street, major violence at the border. You're going to be, if Biden wins the election, you're going to see even more surges at the border than you have now. And over the past 3 years, we have seen massive surges in migrants coming to the border from countries all around the world, not just from South America or Mexico, but all around the world. You've got an alarming number of Chinese nationals coming across the border. You've got an alarming number of people from the Middle East coming across the border. You know, and we have no way of vetting these. The border is overwhelmed. The people aren't being processed properly. So we have no idea who is coming across the border or when or what their intentions are. So my point for this video is to simply point out that this is going to be an ongoing issue. It's going to continually escalate as we get closer to the election, and depending on the results of the election, you could see major eruptions of violence, not just at the border, but around the country. So you need to be preparing for this level of violence now, because we're already seeing it start to tick up. They come into this country, they're expecting to have free food, free money. You have the Biden administration putting them up in hotels at the cost of $500 a night with 3 meals a day, free health care, free shopping carts, free cell phones. We have seen veterans be kicked out of shelters to make room for migrants. We have seen children kicked out of their own schools to make room for these illegals. It's escalated already to the point where several Democrat cities, Democrat stronghold cities, are starting to rise up against this. That is going to continue as well, but the government doesn't care, because the whole point of this, as said by certain Democrats, that they need to do this in order to maintain their power, that they need to do this in order to maintain their seats in the House and in the Senate. So this is going to continue to escalate. And you might wonder, okay, well, if illegals can't vote, how does this help? Well, we've got a census coming up soon. And all of these illegals coming into this country, that's going to change the demographics of this country. When they do the census, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. It just matters where you live in the country. And the population in that particular area determines how many representative seats that area gets, how many congressional seats. It determines electoral votes for that state. That's why you see so many states and so many cities claiming to be sanctuary cities. Is to increase their demographic, to give them stronger, more voting power during elections. And this is all to incite a one-party rule system. Now, you've got the possibility that a lot of these individuals coming across the border could be sleeper cells that are being brought in and just positioned in the event that there's an uprising or a civil war or something, that they can be activated to do whatever it is that they need to do, or whatever it is the people in power need them to do. And that may very well be the case. But these illegals don't have to vote in order to change the political structure of this country. And trust me, if enough illegals are brought in to change the voting dynamic in this country to that level, where it's no longer a two-party system, but it's now a one-party system, that party has full intention of giving all of these illegals voting rights, even though they're not legal citizens of this country. Doing that would cement the one-party system in this country. So we're looking at the political destruction of this country in this alone. So not only is there the potential for violence, there's the economic strain on this country, and then there's the potential political upheaval caused by all of this. So that's my reason for bringing this to your awareness, trying to make you aware of what's going on. I know it's already a big topic. Most of you already know this, but it's my belief that this is what's going on. This is why things are happening the way they are. You will see an escalation going towards election time, and depending on the results of the election, you will see major outbursts of violence or major surges, or both at the same time. So prepare accordingly and stay alert, folks. That's all I've got for right now. As always, stay safe, keep prepping, take care of yourselves and your family, and until next time, I'll catch you later.